County Museum of History, and I represent the Oral History Committee that is interviewing different people in our county. This morning we're in the delightful little village of Seven Springs, and it's October the 18th, 1989, and we're very fortunate because we haven't had a terrible hurricane like Hugo coming through here, or a horrible earthquake like California did last night. This morning, David, our cameraman, he's also one of the trustees from the museum, is going to take some beautiful pictures of the village of Seven Springs the way it is now. In a few minutes, I will be interviewing Mr. Jarman, and I will talk to you then about how it was years and years ago. David, would you like to just sort of take a few pictures of the main street? David, you might like to come out in the middle of this main street and see. I don't think we can get the Whitfield Old Presbyterian Church, which is now the Methodist Church, up on the hill, can we?
We can on another shot. A little bit too far.
A little bit too far right now. About this time, growing up in the early 1900s, and it's my great pleasure this morning that I'm able to talk to him about life in Seven Springs during the 1900s, 20s, 30s, and 40s. He was born in 1902, and he's lived all his life here. He's still active at 87 and takes great pride in looking back through the years at Seven Springs' accomplishments, its tragedies, and its people that made its history. We will be walking up the street. It's called Spring Street, toward the Jarman house. Right here on the corner is the Seven Springs Volunteer Fire Department. And over here is the Seven Springs Supply Company that we'll talk about later. It's a wonderful, quaint little place. And to think that it was settled in the 1700s gives you a wonderful, nostalgic feeling about it. It's a beautiful October morning. There is a little mist in the air. Not much breeze, but it's a typical Carolina October morning. We're coming up on the Jarman home here. People that live here are primarily farmers. They own the land around here and are very productive farmers. Ready to go in? Good morning. Georgia? Hi, I'm Christian Cobb. I'm so glad to see you. Yes. I think I'll have a seat right over here and pull up a chair. And is Mr. Jarman about?
Yes, he is.
Hello?
Are you busy? What? What you doing?
And you're Mr. Ruel Jarman. Well, I'm so glad to be here in your home and interviewing you. David and I have just been walking along the streets of, well, really the main street of Seven Springs. And so it's a great pleasure to be here. And Georgia, we met your lovely wife. And so I'm ready to ask you a few questions if you don't mind. Well, let's start off with your parents. Could you tell me a little bit about them?
Well, my daddy was the oldest child of his father. They came to Lenore County from Jones County and bought a farm in 1875. My mother was a Wooten, was the oldest daughter of John Wooten and Emmeline Kelly. They lived in Lenore County.
Mm-hmm. Is the house that they lived in, is it still there? Or
My granddaddy on my daddy's side, when he bought this farm, he built a two-story house that is still standing on the farm now.
My goodness. Is anyone living in it?
No, there's nobody living in it.
Oh dear, so it's just standing there
Yeah.
with the elements of the weather to,
Right.
and that's in Lenore County.
Lenore County.
Now, they grew up in this area. You at one time showed me a picture of where they went to school. Could you show us the picture now? Do you have it?
No, I don't have a picture.
You don't have a
my mother
picture of
went
the
to, she went to LaGrange Collegiate Institute.
Do you have one about your father?
Yes, I have a picture of the military school that
Uh-huh.
he attended, and both of these schools were in LaGrange.
That's a lovely school. I mean, I don't know whether the camcorder can see how pretty it is. It's a drawing, which is sometimes hard to get. And this particular drawing depicts the Davis School campus in the 1800s. This photo is from the North Carolina collection at the University of North Carolina Library at Chapel Hill. So it's a beautiful photograph. And it was a military institution.
It was operated by Colonel Davis, who was a colonel in the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
He was originally from Newbern. His father was a medical doctor in Newbern.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you know about what time this school was closed?
This school was closed about 1889.
Uh-huh. I see.
It,
Well,
it was
was a
supposed to
beautiful,
be moved to Winston-Salem.
but it was not.
I don't think so.
Well, that's interesting. That's Colonel Davis's home down at the
Yeah,
bottom.
that's where he lived,
Where he lived.
on the school grounds.
Mhm. Now, how did they happen to move here to Seven Springs? Tell me that. Your father and mother.
Well, my daddy took bookkeeping in school, and he came to Whitehall and served as a bookkeeper at a farm supply store,
Mm-hmm.
the W.R. Simmons Farm Supply Store in Seven Springs. That building got burned in the fire in 1922.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Do you remember about what time, period of, was it the early 1900s you came here?
yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. And now you have an older brother, don't you?
Yes,
You had
ma'am.
an
I
older
had
brother.
I had an older brother. There was two of my children.
Uh-huh. About what age were you when he came here?
He came here around 1900,
Mm-hmm.
and I was born in 1902.
Mm-hmm. So he'd been here. Now, Was he in this house?
No, my dad and mom bought a two-story house here that was known as the Old Sewell Hotel, and it got burned in 1922.
Mm-hmm. Did they operate it as a hotel?
No, well, they took some teachers to board in this kind of board for school teachers. I remember when I was growing up, the principal of our school and some of the teachers stayed in our home.
Mm-hmm. So read out front and so forth. You were a waiter at Seven Springs Hotel when you were around 14, 15, 16 years old in the summer times, which I think would be very exciting. Could you tell us a little bit about the people there and so forth?
Well, the people that owned the hotel at that time was the Maxwells. They had bought it, the present family that owns the property now. They opened only in the summertime, and they took their main influence, people to come here, was to drink spring water and feed them good food. And they had an average of around 70 to 75 people throughout the summer, most every summer.
What would they do for activity besides drink spring water?
You know, that was a right good long time ago. People played cards, and they used to have a dance once in a while at the hotel.
Did the women wear long dresses?
Yeah, that's right.
What about electricity and things like that?
Ma'am?
Did they have electricity?
No electricity. Everything was oil lamps.
Oil lamp. Kerosene? Oil lamp?
Kerosene, oil lamp.
This water, were there 7 different springs?
7 different springs.
And how would the people get the water? Would they walk down, or what? What would they do?
Well, the Maxwells hired somebody to stay in the spring house and serve the public that'd come along and come down to drink water. And he would get the water out of the spring that the customer wanted, like 1 or 3 or 5 or 7 or whatever.
Did each one of these springs have a different mineral in them?
The water was analyzed, had to be analyzed every so often by the state. They sent samples to Raleigh for analysis. And
so each spring was to do a certain thing for your body,
right?
And there was a pavilion down
Right.
there,
Right.
and would they have parties and so forth?
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right. And the Maxwells also had a small store down there that sold 4th of July and the second Saturday in September were 2 very big days at the Springs.
What would they do?
A lot of people would go to the Spring. People would set up, have a barbecue for sale, lemonade for sale, this kind of stuff.
Barbecue even back then, huh?
Right.
Okay. And you mentioned also a bowling alley that they
The
had.
Maxwell finally built a 1-lane bowling alley in the spring yard. I remember that very well.
What made this hotel close down? What do you think caused it?
It was the minimum wage bill that was passed by the Congress up in Washington. They were required to pay so much money for the help at the hotel free. And by it being the main income coming in certain times of the year, they decided that it was not worth it to them to operate under those conditions.
And then World War II come along too, probably aggravated things back. Today, the hotel, is anyone living in the hotel today? Because it looks like, if you ride by there, it looks like it's been abandoned.
The boy that inherited the property from his father, he remodeled a section of the hotel for his wife and him as their home, and they raised 3 children there. And of course the children are now married and moved out, but his widow,
His
his wife,
widow.
is still there.
Uh-huh. So the old man, Gilbert Maxwell, had 10 children, right?
Right, yeah, I think that's right.
Uh-huh. And this is one of his sons.
A Blades family from Elizabeth City. I remember they were there.
Uh-huh.
They came.
They brought the whole family with them?
Yeah,
Even the children?
right.
So the children needed the water too, huh?
Right.
I like that. Now, you went to high school, of course, here. Could you tell me about your high school years? You have a picture of it somewhere. Your high school years. David, could you bring the camera a little closer? This is a wonderful old building. How many were in your graduating class, Mr. Jarman?
There was only 3.
Not enough for a football team.
No. Well, we started playing basketball during my time in high school.
Wonderful, because you're the right height for basketball.
Yeah, I have a picture of the first basketball team that I went to spring school.
Mhm. So you played basketball, but you didn't have a gymnasium, did you?
No,
You just
gymnasium. We played basketball on the outdoors on the ground.
uh-huh. Did you have a principal?
Yeah, sure.
Someone that looked
Right.
after the whole thing? What years of high school would be in this old building?
Through the 11th grade.
Through the 11th, it'd start around the 7th grade and go on to the 11th?
Yeah, well, we started that with first grade.
Oh, the whole thing, huh? Oh, I see. And it burned.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that sad? Because it's a wonderful, wonderful old wooden building. It's just...
I graduated from the high school in 1918, spring 1918.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And then you went on to Carolina, didn't you?
Yeah.
University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, I should say.
Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
He went to Chapel Hill. My dad and mother sent him to Chapel Hill. And he spent 4 years and got his degree and decided he would study law and went back and took law course and took the state board and passed it to get his law license to practice in the state.
Mm-hmm.
But he got to teaching school. And they finally wound up by one summer he went to Harvard to get a master's degree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You can tell that John was a smart man, can't you? Now, you went out, you were accepted at medical school, weren't you?
I had the first year in the medical school, class of 1922 at Chapel Hill at that time. They only taught the first 2 years of medicine at Chapel Hill.
Mm-hmm.
That time was only a 2-year school.
I think it remained that way until about something like 35 years ago. They did
Right,
change it and
right.
made it a 4-year medical school. But and then you, after a year there in medical school, you had to leave for health reasons.
Right.
And then, did you come on back to Seven Springs then, or?
Yeah. Well, I went, really had tuberculosis.
Oh.
I spent about 18 months in the state sanatorium.
Oh. Well, you don't look it.
Come home, was given about 3 years to live, and that's been 68 years ago. Read them on this picture. I don't know the dates on them is what's interesting to me. One of them is
And these are some of the pictures of
my daddy got it.
the older school. This is a picture of the Davis School.
Right.
And we took a picture of that, the Davis School. That's where I had seen that Davis School before. It was hanging on your wall.
Right.
I knew I'd seen it.
Who are these people right here, Mr. Jarman?
That's my daddy and my brother and I.
Oh, yeah. That's your father in the center.
Yeah, that picture was taken in 1928.
Uh-huh. That's you on the left, and that's your brother on the right, isn't it?
Right. That's right.
Now, what is this picture right here?
It's another certificate my daddy got at the school.
Another certificate your father received.
Yeah,
This is from that military academy, isn't it?
yeah, that's right.
Thing.
I'm resting, I'm tired.
You resting?
All week.
This This is rather tiresome.
Oh, God. After you defined all medical history, rules and laws and so forth, and thankfully you survived, your career was really a tax real estate, you were a tax real estate appraiser?
Right. I started to work for a commercial appraisal company
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and wound up working for Wayne County.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for the tax department in the county here for about 25 years. Retired.
Now, what I want to hear, if you'll tell us about the 1922 fire that came about in the middle of the night here in Seven Springs. Could you tell us about that? How
Well,
happened?
we were awakened on the 12th of April in 1922, and the fire was burning down the street in one of the commercial buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And that night, I told my daddy we would have to say what we needed to say what we could out of our house, furniture and stuff. I said, no way in the world we can save it, it's gonna get burned. And there was 27 buildings burned here that night.
27 buildings, that includes the homes that were
Right.
here in Seven Springs.
Right.
Did you just wake up and your house was on fire?
Oh no, it was fire was, there was 2 buildings between us and the fire when we woke up.
Well, it was impossible for the fire department.
We had no fire department. Had nothing but a hand pump and a bucket.
Oh my dear. Well, there were no lives lost.
No,
were
no,
there?
no.
So everyone was able to get out of their homes. Now, after the fire, where did you go then?
My daddy rented a vacant house here in the little town
Uh-huh.
until he built this house.
The house that you're in now?
Yeah. my
And you
dad-
built back exactly where the
Where the old
one had been. Uh-huh. And that was in 1922. You have a wonderful old map that you did of the way things were back in 1922, and you marked very carefully on it. Do you happen to have that with you
Yeah.
now?
You want me to get it?
Yes, please. You draw this map. Now, you did it in the past.
Yes.
Years, about 4 or 5 years ago?
No, about a couple of years ago.
Couple of years ago. Uh-huh. And could you tell us what you're depicted on it, what you have depicted on it, the homes and so forth?
Well, every dwelling house, I tried to put the mother, father, and children down.
And
Where
you
they-
named each one, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, put the streets in.
Mm-hmm. And he marked those with a little red dot
That were
and
burned.
circled, the ones that were burned in the 1922
Yeah,
fire.
like this.
But it's actually a map of 1912.
Yeah, that's right. This was a little town as I first become to know it, know the people who lived there, where they lived here.
I think it's an absolute remarkable feat. Here, this man, 2 years ago, drew this map, and he designated the people that lived in these homes as he remembered them back when he was about 10 years old.
12 years old,
Yeah.
That's right, down 12.
Now that is a remarkable thing.
And the majority of them all gone.
Oh yes, I would say so.
Some families are completely gone.
Uh-huh.
Even the children that I put the names down, gone.
Are gone.
Gone.
How many would you say were left? Do you have any idea of the families that were
still here today
Yeah,
that were
we've got
back
some,
in
we've got some
1912?
grandchildren and things like that that are still here.
Mhm. Descendants
Right.
of the families.
Right.
Well, that's a wonderful map, and I'm hoping Mr. Bennett from Wayne Community College will be able to get us a copy of it for the Wayne County Museum of History. All right, I'll put that over from the 30s. Is that right, George?
45.
1945.
Yeah.
So, and Georgia, what was...
Bizzle.
She was a Georgia Bizzle
Yeah.
from Mouse Hill?
Yeah.
From Mouse Hill.
North County.
Her family was from Mouse
Right.
Hill. Yeah. Well, and you have one child.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about your daughter.
Well, our daughter's named Eleanor Forrest,
Mm-hmm.
and she graduated from the Goldsboro High School, and I sent her to Greenville, and she finally wound up by marrying Richard Lucas, who works at Smith Hardware Company.
Oh. Mm-hmm. And she's going to be a nurse, isn't she?
Right, she's taking nursing at the community college now.
Mm-hmm. Now, how many years ago did you actually retire?
I've
you know.
been retired about 10 or 12 years.
Uh-huh. And what do you do during your spare time? Other than do that map? Tell me what you do.
Well, I have a little farm that my daddy deeded me, a will to me.
How wonderful.
Still got my farm.
How wonderful.
I go to it, watch the crops,
Uh-huh.
talk to the boys that cultivate it,
Uh-huh. What do they grow?
grow tobacco, corn, soybeans, wheat, stuff like that.
Most of the farmers around here are pretty thriving farmers, aren't they? Do they ever grow cotton? Does anyone grow cotton?
Oh, yes. When I was a boy, my daddy had acres of cotton on his part of the land down there, and I've seen 25, 30 bales of cotton down there at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Gin and hadn't sold.
Oh, when you think of the South, you think of cotton, don't you?
Right.
Now, the river out here, which really made Seven Springs thrive. Tell us about the barges that went up and down. What did they put on the barges?
When I was a boy, the farmers in this neighborhood got that fertilizer out of Newbern and was brought to Seven Springs on barges.
Uh-huh.
That's 2 boats at a warehouse at Seven Springs with a load of fertilizer on.
This is fertilizer. Uh-huh. Now, were any of them mule-drawn barges?
No,
No, there weren't.
that was a steam-operated motor.
Oh, what about in the early days? Did they use mules to...
Not that I know of.
Uh-huh.
I didn't ever see that.
And it would come up from Newbern,
Newbern.
and it would go how far?
Well, the farthest I ever remember them going was up at Broad Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Got as far west as Broad Bridge.
Mm-hmm. Now, whole house here. David, can you?
Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
This house was known as the Old Red House, and during the Civil War, it was used as a kind of a hospital. Wounded soldiers were taken there so a doctor could see them. That house is no longer here. It was torn down in the 20s.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had a battle here during the Civil War, do you think?
Battle of Whitehall.
Oh. So it was here then because the soldiers were
Right,
taken out.
right.
Was this the old Seven Springs supply store here?
Yeah.
Is that the one that caught on fire?
Yeah, that's from Burn, 1922.
Uh-huh. That's a wonderful old one, too. So there were no electrical lights?
No electricity, no hard service roads.
Everyone rode
horseback?
Horse and buggy.
Horse and buggy. A very simple life, huh?
Right.
So you had everyone had stables in the back
Right.
of their houses to store there.
Well, you see, there was some of those stables that were burned, was included in the 27 buildings
Uh-huh.
that were burned down.
North Carolina and the South are such a religious area. We're the big Bible Belt. What churches were settled here?
When I grew up, we had two churches. We had a Baptist church, which is still here and thriving, and we had a Presbyterian church.
Now that was the Whitfield Church.
Right,
Primarily.
Presbyterian church.
Uh-huh.
The Presbyterian church was traded to the Methodists for a church in Duplin County along about 40. And the building then was remodeled by the Methodist minister and the congregation at that time. And they are still in operation on the hill now. They have a nice church building up there.
It is. It's lovely, I think. So this area then was primarily settled by the Primitive Baptists and the Presbyterians and the Methodists.
Right.
Those three denominations.
Right.
You said that the Maxwells still bring by that good water, the good mineral water every week.
We drink 7 springs of water.
Uh-huh.
We get a 5-gallon demijohn.